Hi everyone.
Hey, hey.
Hey son, hey son.
He's and swing son.
Alright, so today we have what should be the last video for day 8. Yeah. Ending with James Armstrong, part 2.
Okay.
The judge has just got back to his desk, but yeah. I reckon it's going to be an absolute shit show.
It's gonna be interesting to watch.
And I hope that Carl's attorneys rip him to shreds.
Oh yeah.
Because I just get the impression that he's just been picked to do it. He's like, yeah, I did it, but I don't know this program. I just work here, dude.
Like, dude, I can press button, but what do you want me to say?
So what did you do with this? Well, I inputted this file in here and then did this and then I saved it. I don't know. Anyway, right, let's get on with it, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
And just so I can be clear, he doesn't get to say what those images are, right?
No, he will not be doing that.
Okay.
Should I clean that off and start with a new one?
Yeah.
Just so I know.
I know the defense is going to rest. Judge, I know the defense is going to rest, and then we will call a rebuttal witness. We're just made aware of a couple issues with the defendant's testimony. We believe we could potentially get a witness here this afternoon to rebut it. We were just made aware of it. So we may, at the end of this, be asking to keep rebuttal open.
Till when?
Well, we're working to see if we can get a witness. It'd be a person from the Grays Lake Police Department to rebut the fact that Mr. Rittenhouse was issued a bulletproof vest by them. They indicate they did not issue him one. Also, I can't imagine we find someone, but the Arizona State or whatever university the defendant claims to be attending says he is not enrolled there and is not going to college there. I don't imagine we can get a witness for that, but we of course will work on that.
You can open his webpage, his student webpage. So,
Well,
they
I'm not going to cut off their right to
yeah.
rebuttal. All right, are we ready for the jury?
Yes.
Okay.
Hang on. I need to just...
Would you come down, please?
Let me just... There's a bit here I thought was quite interesting. He looks annoyed. Look at him.
Yeah.
Right here. Shit, hang on. When the fuck did Carl... He went on the day before. Why didn't they get any of this shit done? They had an entire day.
Yeah.
Also this. What is he saying? There's nothing coming through. What are they saying?
I think Lunchbox pissed him off or something.
Yeah. Well, I'm just wondering about what though. I'm wondering what is he pissed off about? Because he looked already pissed off.
Yeah.
as he was walking past. If there's any lip readers, what are they saying? Oh, that's a good skill to have, lip reading.
Hmm.
I mean, the fact that they're trying to say that Carl lied about enrolling in Arizona. He could have early admittance.
Yeah.
He could be doing a vocational course there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take some random obscure person within admin. I'm not going to take them seriously.
No.
Because then they would also raise questions. Because I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to look for individual students unless you have a specific, legitimate reason to do so.
Yeah.
And that's not just because they were looking up Kyle. It's anyone. It's the reason why you can't look up yourself. You can't look up friends or family. You can't look up any of that shit. It'll, you're just not allowed to do that.
No.
Move it, please.
Get a mute.
Just put them right on the top of the elbow in case they need them.
Continue.
At this time, the defense would move into exhibit 142 and 140, and we would rest.
All right, any objection to 142 and 140?
Subject to final review of 142, no.
All right, received. Did you wish to present rebuttal?
Yes, the state would call James Armstrong to the stand.
You're still under oath.
Welcome back, Mr. Armstrong.
Thank you.
You testified a few days ago about some videos from a drone footage that were entered into evidence.
Yes.
Did you do any additional work on that drone footage?
Yes, it was requested that I enhance a person near a vehicle underneath a sign.
And how did you go about doing that?
I took two different approaches. The first one, I frame averaged, which means that I selected a group of frames. From there, frame average. From there, I frame averaged those, stabilized first, then frame average. From there, went through and clarified it, which just means that with using levels, we just brightened it up, and then enlarged it.
And these practices you talked about, are these standards in the forensic imaging world?
They are, yes.
And so are these accepted practices in forensic imaging?
They are.
The software you used, is it accepted software program in forensic imaging?
Yes.
And was your work on these images did it go through the peer review process?
It went through a peer review process by another qualified analyst.
And did you write this software?
I did not write this software.
And this enlargement, does it use any kind of computer programs or systems to make the enlargement?
Yes, it uses an algorithm to enlarge that image.
And what kind of process or algorithm was used for the image with the individual under the sign?
For the image underneath the sign, the image that is on towards the left, a smart resize, and then the image on the right was by cubic.
And are these accepted procedures in forensic imaging?
Yes. Yes, that's correct.
And did you write the algorithms that do these procedures?
I did not, no.
So do you know the actual specifics of how the algorithms work?
I do not, no.
But they're part of a software program that is accepted in use in forensic imaging.
Yes, that's correct.
It is, but I don't know that he's going to get the witness to grasp an answer that he wouldn't otherwise make, so the objection's overruled.
What is the software that you used?
It is called AMPed 5.
We've heard some testimony today about a software program called Input Ace. Is that a similar software program, to the best of your knowledge, to AMPed 5?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
To the best of your knowledge, did the crime lab have to choose between those two as to which software they would use?
Yes, the AMP 5 was chosen.
Were you part of that process?
I was only part of the process of making the recommendation.
Is that what you recommended?
That was my choice, yes.
I'm sorry? Relevance. It's irrelevant.
That was my choice. Overruled.
I think you said it was your choice.
It was my recommendation to our technical unit leader It was my recommendation to our technical unit leader for my preference of software between the two.
Let's show what's in marked as States Exhibit 155. Do you recognize this?
Yes, that appears to be the report print that I created. A report print?
And this report print has two images on it?
That is correct.
And is it a true and accurate representation of the report you created?
It appears to be so, yes.
And you said there were some differences between the algorithms used on the images?
Yes, that is correct.
And what is the difference?
The difference being is that with regards to the clarification techniques on the image on the left, that was frame averaging. The image on the right, the difference being is that just a single frame was used.
And I put a piece of paper down in front of you. Do you mind flipping that over? What's the number on top of that one?
Exhibit S156.
Do you recognize that?
Yes, that is report print number 2.
And what is report print number 2?
Report print number 2 is clarified and enlarged files or images that I produced.
And where were where were you looking to enhance these images from?
We were looking to enhance the the area where two individuals are observed.
And so this is a different part of the drone video than the first exhibit.
That is correct.
What did you do to produce these images?
To produce these images, I just, again, clarified. So I use levels to brighten it up and then also to enlarge as well.
And all the procedures you used standard and accepted in forensic imaging?
Yes, that is correct.
You actually created 6 more reports as well?
That's correct, yes.
And just to not go through every one, were they all created with standards of forensic imaging?
Yes, that is correct.
You reviewed them and you know that the ones that the state's submitting are the ones that you submitted to us?
That is correct.
At this point, I would like to move all 8 into evidence and publish 155 and 156 to the jury.
Subject to my previous objection.
All right. Well, they're admitted, subject to the cross-examination.
So, can I publish them?
Not yet.
Okay.
I have no further questions.
Judge, I'm going to use this. I'm sorry. Sir, you can't see this, can you?
I can partially see it.
All right, I just want to make sure the members of the jury can, okay?
Understood.
So, so in terms of your enlarging this image, from the information that's been provided to us, you did that through a bicubic interpolation program, is that right?
I provided that through a smart resize and also by cubic, depending upon the image that you're referring to.
Okay, and when you're making the image larger, you're adding pixels to that image, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. So my question to you, in terms of your work on this, is in a situation where each individual pixel, you'd agree, has a color, if there's color involved, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so if these pixels are blue, and we know from the original that these pixels are red, when you're expanding the image, you're adding pixels, correct?
You are adding pixels, yes.
You don't know, when you're adding and enlarging that and adding pixels, you don't know what color you're adding to these pixels, is that right?
I do not know the interpolation, the algorithm what it exactly is doing when it's adding those pixels.
There are programs, if I'm right, are there programs that would just default it blue, even though it might not be?
I do not know.
Do you know if there's programs that would take the blue pixel and the red pixel, combine them, and make a color purple when it's actually not purple?
I do not know.
Does it change? So here's the question I have for you. So if you take a picture of me right here and you expand it and blow it up, it's going to add pixels, so it might change. The pixels could become white for the color of my shirt or black for the color of my tie, correct?
It's going to be sampling the pixels that from your example,
Yeah.
and and calculating those pixels out, and then duplicating those pixels into that image.
Yeah, can you do that again? What was your answer?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat your question?
I'll try. So what we're doing here, what you've done is you've taken a still photograph, right?
Yes.
You've blown it up and added pixels to that photograph.
That is correct.
Okay. Those pixels have to contain or do contain information, right?
That is correct.
Some of that information is color, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so if the best example I would give you is if you take a picture of my chest, my shirt, and you blow it up, you're going to be adding pixels around my shirt and my tie, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so the question is this. In terms of the accuracy of that enlarged image, you don't know whether those pixels are black for my tie or white for my shirt, right?
I cannot speak to the algorithm that's being used and how it's interpreting it.
And that, to be fair, that could distort or not make an accurate picture of what we're seeing, right?
It's possible.
Right. So the images, and when we're looking at smaller images that are blown up, adding color that's not actually there can make the photograph not accurate, right?
But all the steps that were taken are repeatable.
So what does that have to do with the fact that you don't know what the colors are added? You don't know the colors that are added, so how do you know that's accurate?
I do not know to the algorithm and how it's using it.
So when we're doing that on small images, like a marker in my hand or something like that, and you want to see what this is from a far distance away, it might be adding color that's not actually there, right?
It may be.
So the image that we're asking people to look at might not actually be an accurate representation of the original image. True?
It's possible.
Would it take something that was present? So the example I gave you was my tie.
Mm-hmm.
If you expand that, is it going to add more black pixels?
It will add, no, it will not add any more detail than what is originally there.
But it's going to add pixels, you just don't know what color they're going to be.
Correct.
Is it more difficult to do that in situations where you're further away, meaning the distance from the photograph? The further the distance from the photograph, the more difficult it is, or the more pixels that need to be added to blow it up,
We're
right?
saying more distant from the photograph, you mean the object depicted?
Sorry, yep. So the object depicted in the photograph, the further away that is, the more pixels need to be added when you enlarge it, right?
Correct, if you wanted to enlarge it, yes.
And the more pixels that are added, the more availability there is for distortion in terms of the color in those pixels, correct?
In terms of the color, it's possible.
And would that be also true? Would that be true for the size? I think I asked you this, but I'm trying to figure this out. The size of the image that you're trying to make larger. So the bigger the image in the photograph, the easier it is to enlarge.
There's more information. There's more pixels that are present to enlarge in that area.
Okay. So if I, for example, was if I had something on my clothing and you enlarged it, would that make the thing on my clothing more pronounced?
It may not, no.
Would it make it less pronounced?
It may not.
It may keep it the same even though the photograph is bigger?
It does not, interpolation does not add detail. So if you are enlarging something on your clothing, all it's doing is making that image larger. The detail that may or may not be there is not added. You're not adding additional detail to that image.
You're just adding unknown information.
Yes. No, you're not adding unknown information. You're adding, you're interpolating those pixels and you're adding those particular pixels.
Right, and those pixels contain information.
Yes.
And that information contains color.
Yes.
And you're not sure whether or not how that color scheme works in that situation, right?
I do not know.
Okay. Sir, thanks for your time.
Mr. Kraus?
programs add detail?
These programs do not add detail.
And how long did you work with this drone video, all told?
All told, I received it on Sunday, and I finished all my work with regards to these requests as of yesterday.
So you worked on it for more than 3 days?
Correct.
Would you have submitted a exhibit that did not seem to be consistent with the original footage?
Objection, argumentative. And foundational.
It is argumentative.
Did you make sure that if the reports that you identified were not consistent with the drone footage that you become familiar with, would you have produced them?
I would not have produced them if there was any information in there that did not seem accurate to me.
So you do compare it to the original?
I did not compare it to the original in this instance, no.
And what is this sampling that you talk about?
The bicubic and smart resize.
Yes.
Those are two different algorithms that use to interpolate that information.
So do these algorithms look at, so let me ask this way. On a digital photograph, to make it bigger, do you have to add pixels?
You do have to add pixels, yes.
So if I take a photo from my phone and I want it on a 5x7, I'd be adding pixels to it.
You would be.
So this is something that's commonly done to photographs.
It is, yes.
Now, these algorithms, how do they know, to the best of your knowledge, how to add the pixels?
To my best of my knowledge, it depends on the algorithm, and that's the extent of my expertise on that.
So what is the sampling process?
The sampling process is looking at the pixels and providing more data to that file.
So it looks at the pixels and looks at what's around it, and that's how it adds the pixels.
That is correct.
So it's not just arbitrarily choosing colors to put in.
Not to my knowledge.
Nothing further, thank you.
Sir, you never compared the photograph in front of you to the original? That's what you testified to?
I did not compare the original. I did my analysis on that original video, but I didn't compare them side by side, no.
Well, you were asked you wouldn't submit it if you didn't think it was a fair and accurate representation and all that other stuff, right?
Right.
But you never looked at the two of them next to each other to confirm that, right?
To confirm that, to compare the original to the exported file, no.
And I know Mr. Truss talked about, you take a photograph of your family or whatever and you make it bigger, right? You're probably not as concerned in a family photograph that you're adding pixels and where colors are going as you might be in, for example, say, a homicide investigation, right?
That is true.
Okay, so making sure that the information that's added to these pictures, and the information is in the pixels, making sure that's accurate, that's an important part of your responsibilities, correct?
That would be, yes.
And you don't know how that happens in this particular case, correct?
I do not know the algorithm that's being used within the software to speak to that, no.
That's all I have, Judge.
Any question?
How do you know that the interpolation is accurate?
Just based off the fact that it's a bicubic algorithm is a common algorithm that is used, and it's a sound forensic tool within AN5.
And how long did you work with this drone video and the different images from it?
It's been asked and answered.
It's sustained.
You know how many hours you worked on it?
I would say it was approximately approximately 20 hours.
Nothing further.
Question?
I don't.
You may step down, sir.
We have no further rebuttal witnesses.
Any other evidence?
Judge, I would move that the exhibits be accepted and published as previously requested.
Any objection?
The same objection that I've noted.
All right. It'll be received and published. Did you have some for publication too, or was that done? That was completed?
Yes.
Okay. All right then. Folks, the evidence is closed, and I'm going to ask.
But he still says that he doesn't know. I mean, so like we stated before, he claims that he's being an expert, but an expert would know exactly what the programs are doing. No, I do not like that.
That you return to my,
Judge,
yes, you do. Go ahead.
can we get the screens on?
Did you?
Well, I think there's still a little bit, but it's just talking right now. What did you think?
Yeah, like I just stated that
This is exhibit 155.
I don't think he's an expert witness if he doesn't know exactly what the program is doing.
No.
And now please exhibit 156.
I mean, I'm listening, so they're not talking right now. But I think with this witness, he literally just doesn't. I wonder if they thought, the prosecutor thought, here's this 17, 18-year-old kid. What can he afford?
All right, that's all. Thank you, Judge.
Yeah. But the thing is also...
All right. All right, folks, the evidence is closed, and you know what? I want to talk to lawyers for a moment. I guess I'll ask you to step into the library for just a second. And please don't talk about the case.
Whilst they're going out. I think they thought he literally just could not afford the experts that he's got.
Yeah.
Like, I think that they thought this would be, you know, quick and over and done with.
Oh, yeah.
But they weren't going to get so much pushback from it all. I mean, there was a case, I think I've mentioned it, there was a case recently about a guy...
All right, now,
sorry, a sec.
you have driven me into submission with your request to argue on Monday, but I'm going to extract something in exchange, which is a cap on the length of your arguments. I figure, well, first of all, just we're going to do a more involved discussion on instructions and verdicts. Are there going to be any charges submitted to the jury other than what is in the information?
The
Yes?
state will ask for that, yes.
How many additional charges are you going to submit? Or request to submit?
I'm not sure if we finalized our request. Certainly on count three and 4, I think we need to discuss on other counts, but the first degree homicide, first degree intentional homicide, we will ask for all lesser includeds. The attempted homicide to engage gross rights, we would ask for I believe it was only 1 lesser included. We are not inclined to ask for lesser includeds on the reckless endangering safety charges. At this moment, we're not inclined to ask for lesser includeds on count 1 to Mr. Rosenbaum, but I think we need to discuss that more fully.
Okay. Are there going to be any special instructions other than what you've already submitted and the 6th count affirmative defense instruction from either side?
I believe the state will be asking, we got to discuss this more, but I believe we'll be asking for the provocation instruction. 805, I believe.
Okay, yeah, okay. Well, the reason I'm asking right now, I'm not going to hold you to this, is that I figure that the instruction probably will take 45 minutes, I would think.
To read them to the jury?
Yeah.
Yes, I would say.
I would say easily.
And so that leaves how much of the day, since you scared me off from tomorrow because you said, well, the jury will be worn out by the time we get there. So I think, well, I don't want to wear them out on Monday either. So if I'm going to be instructing them for 45 minutes or an hour, that takes us to 10, 10:30, 10:15 anyway, 10:30. Maybe if you were going to confine your arguments to maybe an hour and a half apiece, is that reasonable?
Very.
I'd request
Total time.
including rebuttal.
Yeah. Total time.
The state is going to need 2 hours for our primary and I'd say half an hour for rebuttal, Your Honor.
You know, I had the good fortune to be across the street neighbor, living across the street to the late Kenneth Grube, United States District Judge, when I was a lad. And Judge Grube is famous for his statement that the brain cannot absorb what the seat cannot endure. And if you don't like that advice, President Roosevelt, one of the renowned speakers of the 30s and 40s, when asked by his son for some advice on speaking, said, be sincere, be brief, and be seated. And so the message is loud and clear. Are you saying 2.5 hours to argue your case?
I'm saying that I think that the initial closing may take up to 2 hours. I'm not going to aim for 2 hours, Your Honor. Obviously, I understand that, but I want to have the freedom. There are a lot of videos, and we're going to be showing them. So there's going to need to be time for that. It's not just going to be standing up droning for 2 hours, but there's going to be time when we're going to need several minutes, I don't even know, probably 30 minutes worth of video that they may be watching at various times, which no one's going to be talking, it'll just be playing it. And I certainly don't want to be in a situation where our allotted time for closings, you propose an hour and a half, for example, we do an hour and 10 minutes or whatever to save 20 for rebuttal. I can't possibly budget rebuttal time because I don't know what the rebuttal is going to be. So I'd like that. We can put a cap of 30 minutes or something on it, but I don't want that to come out of the first closing period of time. and I don't want to be limited. I don't want to have to budget that right now out of that first closing time. So if the court is disinclined to go along with that, then I would propose an hour and a half for our primary closing, an hour and a half for the defense, and then a maximum of 30 minutes for rebuttal.
They should get no more time than us.
Well, they won't.
Okay.
They won't.
Whatever the time
No.
the court says,
Yeah.
I'll deal with it. I think an hour and a half is adequate.
I agree with you that, and you make a good point about the number of exhibits, and so I'm going to indulge total time of 2.5 hours each side. But with that, I'm usually pretty permissive when people go a little bit longer than they should. I note it to the jury so that the jurors can make their own, if they get annoyed, they get annoyed. But I just warn the people, but I'm going to be a little bit tougher, and I may tell you to just sit down in mid-sentence if it keeps going. No, seriously. And I did it to one of your, one of the DAs that in the last several sequences, and mid-sentence. So 2.5 hours per side, and yours is to allocate as you wish. So we need to come back tomorrow. Tonight, you may send me your proposals for lesser included and any special instructions or the numbers of those you want. Well, let's get the jurors in, then we'll take care of these details.
Yeah. What I was talking about.
The weekend at this point, the lawyers and I have some work to do tomorrow, and to get the case ready for you on Monday, and then I'm going to ask that you return at 9 o'clock on Monday. Even though the evidence is closed, it's still not appropriate for you to discuss anything about the case with anybody, not even with members of your household, not even with other jurors. Even if all 12 of you, all 18 of you are in the same place at the same time, you still can't talk about the case. And when you get back on Monday, you can't talk about the case until you've heard my final instructions regarding our law, which will take, I hope, less than an hour. I think that will be true. I think that probably closer to 45 minutes or even a little less maybe. And then we will hear the arguments of the attorneys, and they have graciously agreed that they will not exceed 2.5 hours in duration each, and may be less than that. And so it'll take a good share of Monday, and then the case will be put, well, then the procedure will be that we'll use that tumbler over there, and we'll draw out names of as many jurors as are necessary to get down to 12, and then that'll be our jury that will go into deliberation, and then what happens after that is up to you folks. Any questions about this at all? We're in the final stretch. Please follow the instructions. And don't read, watch, or listen to any account of the trial. Enjoy the weekend, and have a wonderful evening.
Right. Yeah, there was a case. I think I've mentioned him before. He was also in the state of Wisconsin. This guy was actually one of his attorneys. He was on trial for, I believe, manslaughter. I don't know the ins and outs of the case. It was, I believe, this year. Could have been last year. I don't know for certain. But he put up the argument that he was in self-defense. And it was, at one point, if I remember correct, it was like 11 on 1. So essentially, from what I remember of the case, and this isn't everything about it, obviously, this is just what I remember. There's this thing on a river somewhere in Wisconsin, I can't remember where they do tubing. Basically, you sit in like a tube thing and just flow down the river.
Yeah.
Which is apparently a very common and popular activity to do. And he was there with a group of friends, and I think work colleagues as well, but I can't remember. And one of his work colleagues and him, they went past where these groups of teenagers were. No incident at that point, but one of his colleagues said that he dropped his phone. And he mentioned at what point he thought it was at. So this guy, he went back over there with his snorkel to try and find the phone.
Yeah.
And then apparently there was, this is where the two sides come in. He was saying that he asked them if they'd seen a phone. These teenagers, and there was, I say teenagers quite loosely. I think all of them were over the age of 18, but I'm not sure. But they were still in their teens. They were young adults. And there was both men and women there. And they were saying that he was leering at the girls or something. So then the men went up to him and it kind of become like a confrontation. And then there was more stuff going on and he hit someone or pushed someone or something and they were pushing him. And at one point it was 11 on 1. And I can't remember at which point, but he pulled out his knife that he had in his pocket and basically stabbed a whole bunch of them. And he was claiming that he was in fear for his life. There was one of them, he has a horrific scar on his it's literally like from where the bottom of his rib cage is all the way down. And it's not small either, it's like quite big and and his intestines, like his insides were coming out, he was literally holding them in. There's cell phone footage of all of it. And so this guy, to get to the ending of it, the state didn't charge him with murder like they did with Kyle.
No.
They charged him with manslaughter, I think. And even before that case came out, I had always thought with Kyle, even back when it was being live streamed, I said if they'd put him on for manslaughter, they would have got him.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way that they're going at it now. I mean, if you guys want us to look at that case, just let us know in the comments. With the Rittenhouse trial coming up to the end of it, nearly. I mean, we've only got not that many videos left. Like, there's two trial days left. If there's a trial that you want us to look at or react to, or just watch and give our perspective on it, just pop it in the comments. We'll be more than happy to look at any trial that you put up. I think, I mean, the outcome of this one, right?
Yeah,
What is it?
not.
Yeah. Do you think if they had put it on for if they had charged him with manslaughter, not murder, which they've now changed to homicide, which is quite interesting, do you think they would have got him?
Probably. But also, this case had a different weight on it, on top of it also. During, yeah.
They were using this case as like, they were using Kyle as the spearhead for banning all guns. And,
Yeah.
Well, I say banning all guns, heavily restricting it. I mean, I've not been around guns, but there's some people in America that I'm shocked at how little knowledge they have on guns.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these are people that want to ban all guns. Like the quote of, like the saying of, you know, banning assault rifles. So, well, what is an assault rifle? Like there's been people that have been pushing for legislation about banning assault rifles, and they can't even answer the question as to what an assault rifle is. I mean, I think also with everything that was going on around this time and all the misinformation that was going around about Kyle, like the fact that there was news networks calling him a white supremacist, that he had gone there to slaughter a bunch of black people, that he had murdered 3 black men. Like, they said that he was working with the cops, even though he never said that. Like, there was so much going around.
Yeah, this thing also annoyed me because one of Swedish news channels is they putting the trust in an American news channels, and when this came up in Sweden, it was that he had killed 20 black people in this protest. And that he got that from the Swedish news channel got that from an American news channel.
It's like a very, very dangerous game of Chinese whispers.
Yeah.
Or, in more PC terms, telephone. Isn't that strange? There's kids that are growing up not knowing that the game of telephone is Chinese whispers.
Yeah, yeah.
Why was it called Chinese whispers?
Uh,
It feels kind of derogatory towards Chinese people, but I don't know why it'd be called that in the first place.
It's actually a way, if I remember it right, it's a saying from China during the China Kingdom Age. Which,
What, like Ottoman?
yeah, it's like China was China before it got united was in 12 different kingdoms, or maybe even 15.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was these so-called Chinese whispers about the king. A king had a slightly lesser clothes because it was fashion at the moment. And one said he is a little bit less, another one said he's a little bit more less, etc., etc.
So then it turned out that he was completely naked.
No, yeah, that the king of that dynasty, he was so proud that he was walking around naked, but what in reality he was just showing his neck.
Is that actually where it's come from?
That's what some people say it's come from.
I mean, what I find interesting is that it's still, I'm not that old, but it was still around. I mean, there's one with one that you could attribute it to is Napoleon.
Yeah.
That he was apparently an incredibly short man.
Yeah, which his was not.
No. And there's also King, I believe it's King Richard, the one that was killed in the battlefield. That he was grotesquely ugly when he was just average looking. I think also apparently he had a limp or something.
Oh yeah, I guess.
And that he had a big nose or something.
Yeah.
Then, if he had a limp, he wouldn't have been on the battlefield. If I remember. Do you want to know a tidbit of trivia about King Richard? Apparently, one he was supposedly found in a car park, like buried underneath a asphalt car park. How true that is, I don't know. I can't remember. But one thing that is true, he has a stab wound in his tuchus.
Huh.
So someone stabbed him in his ass. Like the pelvic bone.
Yeah.
That would be near where on the back side of him, had a cut on it. So someone stabbed him in his ass. I wonder if that was where they shoved the pole. Yeah. But yeah. Leave your thoughts and comments down below if you have any, if you want to share. If you have any trials that you want us to look at, please do let us know. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you in the next one. If not, enjoy whatever you do or don't. I mean, if you want to partake in a miserable exercise, that's all up to you, really. Pet a cat. Don't eat yellow snow. And beware of acorns.
Why acorns?
Well, in America, there was that police officer that unloaded an entire clip because he thought he got shot and it was an acorn hitting his car.
Oh yeah. Yep, beware of acorns.
They're deadly.
Do not park underneath an acorn tree.
His partner also unloaded her mag and there was apparently people across the way. There was also the guy that they had arrested in the car. They shot their own car because of an acorn. He thought he got shot.
Yep. That makes sense.
Yeah, those killer acorns.
I can't hear the difference. Yeah, okay.
See, in the 80s there was killer tomatoes. In the 2020s it's killer acorns. How has it evolved?
But the true mastermind is the seagulls. So beware of the seagulls.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was Captain Walnut.
No.
Whoever that is.
It's always the seagulls.
Yeah. Alright. Bye guys.
Bye-bye.